nobody in the history of real estate has sold more buildings in New York than Bob Knakal. Now, if you ask him, how's the market? He never uses an adjective. I just want you to listen to how Bob talks about the market. There's a good chance that you're still going to be the best one in your market at answering this type of question if you'll follow his example. But if you're not a CRE professional, you want to make sure you're working with somebody who can answer this question this way. And if you can do that, you'll absolutely win more business. So this is not an episode on how's the market today. This is how to answer the most asked question in commercial real estate, which is how's the market.
It's like asking, how handsome do you think I am?
No, that's an objective fact, though.
That was an awful example. You're right. You're right.
There's a reason you're the brother that's enacting.
All right. Welcome to Commercially Speaking. I'm Timmy Barron, ADHD.
And I'm Bo Barron, CCIM.
Bo is teaching me everything he knows about commercial real estate.
Everything.
Everything, because I know nothing. Well, I know a little bit now, but...
Well, you know quite a bit now, but we're going to go a little deeper.
A little deeper today?
And we're going to keep rolling.
That sounds great.
All right.
You see, I'm an actor and comedian, so this is not my world at all, other than I was born into a family that does commercial real estate.
And I'm an introvert that was born into an extroverted family.
That's right.
So I've been faking it my entire life.
Yeah, you have.
It's emotionally draining.
Yeah. Before we get into commercial real estate, can I perform a new trick on you?
Yeah. Let's see it, because this is...
All right.
This is fun, and the trolls tend to like...
they like to figure it out. And like on the last one that I posted, there were several people that called what I was doing. Right.
Oh, they did.
So
call
let's
it?
see. Yeah, they did. A few people called it, which is fine. So let's see if you can do this. If you can figure out this one.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna flip like that, and you just tell me when to stop.
Okay.
Okay.
Stop.
Okay. See, it's still a new thing. Hold on. Let's try it one more time. Okay.
Yeah, where you actually do 2 cards instead of 1?
Yeah.
Okay. Or 1 card instead of 2?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
All right.
Cool. I'm just gonna put on top there. Now, here's what I'm going to have you do. I'm going to have you take your card. Don't look at it, but take it and put it somewhere in the middle of the deck. Okay?
Okay, so take it.
Take it. Don't look at it.
So I can't confirm that that's my card.
Correct.
Okay.
No, it won't work. It won't work if you look at it.
Okay.
That's a part of the magic.
I
Okay.
gotcha.
But what I do want to do is with that move, I've just moved it right to the top.
Yeah. Very nice.
Pretty nice, huh?
Yeah.
Can you figure that out, y'all? Can you figure that out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Right, we got the 1. I'm going to put it on top.
It's actually the same card.
No way. Is it really?
Well, let's see.
Hold on. We'll do the
I'll
trick.
Take the top card, right?
Oh,
Don't
yeah,
look at
yeah.
it. Put it back in here.
Yeah.
It might be the other suit.
It was the other suit.
It was the other suit.
Yeah. Now, how cool is that? Figure out how I did that one.
Now, if we can pull out an 8 of clubs or spades on
this third one? Okay. Let's see.
Shut the front door.
Is it?
No.
Oh, 7. 6 and 7.
At first, I thought,
Still pretty cool.
Very
Cool.
nice.
Any ideas?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think you gave me a glimpse on the failed first attempt.
Yeah. So this one for me is like all about the card control, right? To throw it out, boom, got the 1, which is important. Sometimes you can take like 4 or 5, and is that it? All right, sweet. You might have figured out how it's done, but could you do it?
No.
All right,
Nope.
cool.
So last week, I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm teaching 102. In
did you
Austin.
get to see Mange?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had dinner with Mange and Andrew. Andrew. See,
Andrew.
our sisters both have men, and they're relatively new men, so new fellas. Right?
Yeah, new fellas to the family.
So our sister Cody just got married a couple weeks ago to Anthony, and then Mary's boyfriend is Andrew.
Sorry.
But like I've only been around Andrew 2 times now,
Right.
in real life. If I don't think real hard, I'll flip them. They're both A names. They're
Andrew, Anthony. Yeah.
yeah. It's easy for me to get confused, but
Yeah.
regardless, I went to dinner with Mary and Andrew.
Andrew.
Had a great evening. It was great to see her. Austin's really cool. Austin, in my experience, is
First time?
first time I've been there.
Yeah. I've never been.
I've been to Texas a lot.
Are we going to Texas for that event?
We are.
Yep. Cool. All right.
My buddy Robbie Eves lives there. And we've had Robbie on the show. He's a friend of the show. And
Great stories.
We were in JWL. He's connected to the chapter down there as the former president of the chapter. And matter of fact, I'll just do some shout outs from the Austin people. So like Robbie Eves, Hampton Friedman, Daniel Stein, they brought me down there to teach the class. And we had 28 students. It was a great class. But Austin is different than the other cities in Texas. Like, it's different politically. That's not even what I'm talking about. It's different in that it's not flat and it's not brown. Like, it was very green, very rolling hills. On Saturday, I was supposed to fly out at about noon.
Yeah.
And Robbie calls me and he goes, hey, there's this famous barbecue joint in Austin. And I'd actually heard of it called Franklin's. Franklin's.
Yes.
He's like, can you push your flight back? And we'll go eat lunch at Franklin's on Saturday.
Yeah.
So I pushed my flight back to about 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we can eat lunch at this famous barbecue joint. Now, when I say famous barbecue joint, Obama's eaten there. Foo Fighters have eaten there. On the online course website called Masterclass, Aaron Franklin has a masterclass on how to smoke meat, like how to barbecue. And I watched it. And I was like, oh, this is that guy's joint.
Yeah.
So like, all right. So we go there.
Let me give a bit of context real quick, because we are from Owensboro, Kentucky, and we are self-claimed barbecue capital of the world.
Yes.
We've got a barbecue festival. We have a joint here called Moonlight Barbecue where Bill Clinton ate.
Yes,
right?
this is true.
A lot of famous people come through there. Anyway, we have a huge appreciation for barbecue.
Yes.
So,
and what I've learned is like Memphis, Kansas City, they're both self-proclaimed barbecue capitals of the world
also
as well.
Delicious, yeah.
Everybody does their barbecue a little different. So in Austin, there's brisket, beef ribs, pulled pork, smoked turkey, sausage. I mean, it was unbelievable.
I just turned into that emoji, the drooling emoji.
So here's the deal, though. When we got there, and this I learned that it's like this every day.
Oh, you're about to show me the line?
Did I show you the line already?
No, I just picking up the cues.
This is downtown Austin, Texas.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's this little joint. It doesn't look like you're in a downtown anywhere.
No.
It just looks like this little bitty joint on the corner of a intersection, you know? And that line's like that every day. They open at 11 and they close when they run out of food, which is like generally 2:30, 3:30 in the afternoon.
Oh, that's great.
People start lining up, I understand, at like 7 or 8 in the morning.
Oh, my gosh.
I would never, ever wait in line like that.
Yeah.
For any kind of food.
You are your father's son.
Yeah, like I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. But Robbie talked you into doing this.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is the part that you can't put in the episode.
Okay.
All right. It was probably one of the best meals, top 3 meal of my life.
Wow.
And I now know what meat sweats are. Holy moly.
You understand the line now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whew. Man, it was good. So thank you to the guys in Austin. You really know how to throw a class. You know how to take care of the instructor. And I had an absolute blast.
What are you teaching me today?
We're going to answer the question, how's the market?
How's the commercial real estate market?
Mm-hmm. And this episode is not so much what the answer is, but it's how an expert should answer this question.
Okay.
So this is not an episode on how's the market today.
Yeah.
This is how to answer the most asked question in commercial real estate, which is how's the market?
Oh, I like that.
Most commercial real estate professionals, how do you think they answer that question?
Yeah. I have no clue.
Almost every time they answer with an adjective.
Oh, yeah. Right. Good. Bad.
Yeah, but it's more like, ooh, the market's hot.
Oh, hot.
Or it's tough.
Yeah.
You know, they'll use an adjective.
There's so many factors, though.
Yeah, but it's completely arbitrary and subjective.
It is. It's like asking how handsome do you think I am? Right? That's going to depend on who's looking at me.
You're very handsome.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's an objective fact, though.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That was an awful example. You're right. You're right.
I mean, there's a reason you're the brother that's in acting, right? It's not because we're all so pretty, you know.
We got a good looking family, but yeah, I know. Fair enough. Hey, nice one. Nice one.
But let me back up just a hair.
Okay.
When I was at the Massimo Group, we had a client that Rod, like,
Now that's a handsome guy.
yeah.
Oh.
Now he coached this guy directly, and even when Rod stopped coaching, he continued to coach this one guy, and this one guy's name is Bob Knakal.
Bob Knakal?
Bob Knakal. He's a commercial real estate broker in Manhattan. He's about 40 years into his career, almost completely confident that nobody in the history of real estate has sold more buildings in New York than Bob Knakal.
Oh, wow.
He's unbelievable.
Wow.
Now, if you ask him, how's the market? He never uses an adjective. He drops data. He considers that question as an invitation to enlighten the person asking and to demonstrate his expertise.
Nice.
And man, he just goes. I've heard him do it a number of times. And so I think we picked up on this at the Massimo Group, and we would coach our clients, and I'm sure Rod still continues to do this, to always take advantage of that question that everybody in the industry gets. Somebody at some point on a fairly regular basis is going to say, how's the market? Take advantage of that question to demonstrate your expertise and actually give great data that can benefit the person who asked the question.
Yeah.
And so what I have here today is I've got a clip of Bob answering that question from when he was on the TreppWire podcast.
Oh, great.
So,
Our friends at TreppWire.
That's right. We've had Lonnie Henry on the show twice.
Yeah.
I want to play a couple minutes of this, and I just want you to listen to how Bob talks about the market.
Cool.
Ready?
Yeah. And now if you're watching this like several months later, you can watch our episode with Bob Knakal right here.
I'm sure we can get him on the show.
That's what I said. Let's get Bob Knakal. He sounds like he'd be. I like this. I like this a lot because especially with our answering like some of the most common questions, is commercial real estate going to cause a recession? They're all in that same kind of, there's no, how do you answer that with all the different factors?
So what I'd like to do here is we'll play this clip of Bob.
Yeah.
Listen to him for maybe 2-3 minutes, and you can edit it down later if it's too long. And then we'll kind of just unpack what he talked about a little bit.
Love it.
And then suggest some ways that other CRE professionals could gain this kind of data so they can answer the question this way.
Yeah.
Like not exactly what
Sure.
he's saying, because like, look, every data analytics company in commercial real estate has tons of data on Manhattan, and none of them have hardly any data on Owensboro.
Right.
So the smaller markets struggle more with getting their hands on this kind of data. However, when you listen to Bob, and I've heard him talk about this before, like he goes and gets the data himself. Like he has a team of people and they talk to all the owners, they ask questions, they gather the data themselves. So it's primary information for them.
Yeah.
Most brokers will take the lazy and expensive way out and they'll buy this data as secondary information from, like, they might use CoStar or some other data company that goes and gets this information and then sells it back to the industry. And so we can subscribe to CoStar or some of these other services and just go get the data. So that's a lot faster.
Right.
But you don't have near the authority because you didn't go get the information yourself.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a trade-off there.
Yeah. And
But Bob is a data geek.
Huh.
And
like you're a data geek.
Well, yeah, but man, he takes it to a special place.
Well, if you all haven't seen our travel episode, you talk about special places with data. Go ahead.
But he's been tracking all this stuff for 40 years now.
Wow.
Like nobody can touch the depth of data that he has. So just listen.
And yeah, before we jump into it too, because you have framed this in the way of like, if you are going to be the one answering this question, here's a good way to do it. But I think, could it also, this apply to somebody who, like an investor who is meeting with people, the kind of answer to look out for?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. So if you're a CRE professional, broker, advisor, something like that, even in commercial lending
GP.
or whatever, this is the type of information that you want to know. You've got the rest of your career to get there. Just keep getting better. Just keep learning about your market. All right. Don't try to, you're going to hear an answer that's 40 years in the making.
Yeah.
right? You're not going to get there overnight.
Yeah.
So just keep learning, keep getting better.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
There's a good chance that you're still going to be the best one in your market at answering this type of question if you'll follow his example and start to understand your market with this kind of data and then take advantage of the question.
Yeah.
But if you're not a CRE professional, you want to make sure you're working with somebody who can answer this question this way. Let's spend a couple minutes listening to Bob here.
Everything we look at from a numbers perspective is all relative, right? So I look at what's happening so far this year. If we look at sales over $500,000, markets, there were 261 transactions in Manhattan in the first half of the year. So we're on pace for 522. That'll be down only 19.8% from last year's 651 properties sold. Dollar volume took it on the chin a little bit more. It was $7.9 billion in the first half, so we're on pace for $15.8 billion for the year. That'll be down about 34% from 2022. So those numbers don't sound so bad. But if we compare them to peak levels, we see that, the peak in terms of number of transactions, number of properties sold in Manhattan in 2012 was an all-time record of 1,196 sales. And so current pace is down about 56% from that. Dollar volume peak was in 2015 at $57.4 billion. So current market pace is looking like it's down 72% from that peak. So, the numbers themselves are not that meaningful without relative perspective. But I will tell you that if the market does achieve 522 sales this year, that's a turnover ratio of 1.89% of the 27,649 buildings that exist south of 96th Street. That's actually well below the long-term average of 2.6%, but not nearly as bad as the 1.2% the market was at in 2009, or the 1.6% it was in 1992. So relative to other downturns, there's still a relatively decent level of activity. I think that where you're seeing that, if we disaggregate it into the over $50 million market and the under $50 million market, you will see a tremendous difference in the over $50 billion market. And I don't have those stats yet, but I should have them shortly. But there, the liquidity plays a much bigger role, because when you're in the $10 to $20 million transaction range, under $20 million, a lot of those transactions are done on an all equity basis.
All cash.
So the market is not nearly as negatively impacted as the market is for the larger transactions, where even the wealthiest of investors are looking at debt.
Let's just stop there.
Okay.
Like,
whoa.
Right? Whoa.
Yeah.
He's not just regurgitating facts that he's putting it in context. He's interpreting the data. He's talking about trends. He never said the word trend, but he's comparing it to like peaks and valleys of the market and putting things in context and what it actually means. He goes on to continue to talk about the big difference in transactional slowdown versus like value slowdown. So, you can have a market where, and this generally describes Owensboro. When things are going really well in Owensboro, we have more transactional volume, like more deals are getting done.
Yeah.
Okay. When we have a slowdown, the volume of deals, the number of deals we have slows. It constricts. We generally don't lose a lot of value here. Okay. So you can have a velocity correction where the values of the properties aren't actually hurt that much. It's just not as many deals are getting done. Right. Or you can have the type of correction where the values also get hammered. And he just continues to go on for like another 5 minutes talking about the differences in the different downturns we've had since 2000 and how some of them have been transactional volume corrections and some of them have been value corrections and what the differences were and blah, 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 blah. And by the time he's done, you're like, holy moly. I've learned a ton of actually useful information that might help me make a good decision about something I'm considering. And why on earth would I not work with him?
Right.
Like, who knows more than this guy about Manhattan real estate?
Right.
Like, maybe there is somebody out there, but like,
Yeah.
Holy moly, I feel great about trusting my property to the advice of this guy.
Absolutely.
You know, it's like, boom. Or he could have just said, man, it's been a tough year.
Right. What?
How's the market? Man, it's hot. And a lot's going on. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Man, that's an example of how you take a question you know you're going to get and put the work in so that you can nail it when it comes.
Right.
It's the same thing you think about, like if you're making prospecting calls, you're going to get voicemail.
Right.
So take advantage of the opportunity, prepare for it so that you leave great voicemails that will actually entice some people to call you back. I should record some of the voicemails I get from people calling me.
Yeah. Yes.
They're terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, absolute train wrecks.
Yeah. Now,
It's
I was
like,
just
why on earth would I call this guy back?
right.
He sounds like he's bored. He sounds like he would rather do anything else but
Right.
make this call. There's no passion, no excitement.
Yeah.
It's like, man. So
And we all got to start somewhere. But I just wrote this down because I think that would be a good segment or even an episode of like examples of bad voicemails or a good voicemail. Especially now, if I'm in the shoes of somebody that is cold calling and trying to get better at it, like my question right now after you saying that, I know this is a bit off topic, is what would be a great voicemail, right? So I think that would be, even if it was like 10 minutes, right?
I read this in a book somewhere years ago.
Yeah.
My favorite voicemail, especially if I've called somebody a couple times and I can't get them to call me back,
Yeah.
is I will amp up my excitement a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hang up on myself about halfway through the statement. So it looks like we got cut off. I'll be like, hey, Timmy, man, I've got something for you. Give me a call. And I'll hang up on myself. And I will get callbacks on that sometime.
Yeah.
Now, you better actually have something.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you better be ready for
Hold
when
that
they
card.
actually called you back.
Have
call
that
you back.
card,
But
yeah.
I've done that a handful of times.
Yeah.
And that generally works pretty well.
Yeah.
If I can't another way,
Right.
you know, that's kind of a last resort kind of thing.
Right. And I know the one where it's like to try to get them to say no, right? Try to get them to answer no.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's more of like if you get them on the call, right? And you've got them on the phone. It's like instead of saying, hey, do you got a moment to talk? Where you want them to say yes, be like, hey, would it be an awful time right now for me to talk to you for a minute?
No, not really.
Yeah,
And then-
great. Now you said no, which is my yes, right?
Another version of that
Yeah.
is if you and I are both, let's say we're both in the office and we're both calling on owners. And we're trying to generate meetings.
Sure.
Let's have a competition to who can get to 10 no's first.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
So like people actually telling you no, they're not interested.
Right.
And I'm gonna try to get to 10 first. I'm not actually trying for the no's, but we know they come.
Right.
So let's just make it a game, and it lightens everything.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm at 8. I'm at 6. This guy kept
And the energy
talking to me.
The energy on the
You
phone
know?
is more fun as well.
I actually
right? Yeah.
scheduled a meeting on the way, so I'm going to lose the competition. It's
Right,
like,
because you got a yes.
yeah. So you can just
That's fun.
and it changes I'm probably going to use this word incorrectly, but I learned the word from you anyway. It changes the timbre or the tone of the call.
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm.
So there is more energy. There's more lightness to it. It's a little bit more whimsical. You know, I can make the call with a smile on my face instead of I hate doing this.
Right.
You know.
Right. Makes it warm. They're not cold calls. They're warm calls because you're having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, getting back to Bob.
Sure. Back to Bob.
Here's some
about
things that I would suggest a CRE professional try to do so that they can answer more like Bob does.
Yeah.
Or just think about it. And I'm never going to use an adjective again. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use data.
Yeah.
I spent a little time this morning and I pulled some data on retail in Owensboro.
Okay, great.
All right. Now we mentioned this on a previous episode, and I think we should do an episode like this where we take a random market and we do a market analysis of it, kind of live, make it an episode. We just need the audience to help us pick the market.
This is a great time right now to put in the comments the market that you want Bo to break down, take a look at.
You know, we can do all that.
And while you're at it, hit subscribe. And ding that little bell so you don't miss anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ding the bell.
Ding the bell.
So here's some information about it. If you were to ask me how's the market in Owensboro?
How's the market in Owensboro?
Well, it's an interesting time to answer that question because unlike previous downturns that we've had in commercial real estate where the whole market tends to be gaining in momentum or losing momentum or whatever, what we've had with COVID and the interest rate hikes after that, you've got some property types that are really thriving and you've got some that have really been crushed because of how the world's changed. And so if you just look at retail in Owensboro, we've got a total of like 8.5 million square feet. That's all we have in Owensboro. It's actually 8,460,000 square feet. There is 4.1% rent growth over last year. The previous 2 years, rent growth was actually higher. So rent's continuing to grow, but the growth has slowed down a little bit. But that's still a really strong number. And we've seen this over the properties that we own and we manage. We've been able to push rents. And when you can push rents, you can increase net operating income. And when you increase net operating income, it makes the property worth more, even if the cap rates just stay the same. So vacancy is at 5%, which is actually up. And we've had negative absorption of 66,700 square feet, which is a lot. Or in other words, space that was occupied that has now become vacant.
Okay.
But there's one thing that's happened in the last year that explains that 66,700 square feet. Can you think of what it is?
In the last year? The solar eclipse.
That's next week, baby.
It's next week. That hasn't happened yet. I wonder how that's going to affect the market. I can't think of what's happened in the past year.
What's across the street? Right over there.
The mall? Yeah.
They shut it down.
Oh, the mall shut down.
So almost 100% of the negative absorption that we've seen over the last year is one property with one event. They shut it down.
Yeah, context.
Now, that's an anomaly. So if you look at a negative absorption like that and just look at the number, you're like, well, that scares me a little bit. Oh, they shut the mall down.
Does that mean that's a bad thing for retail in general?
If you disaggregate retail in general, so we split out neighborhood strip centers, convenience centers, and we break down like power centers are their own thing, and regional malls are their own category. And within retail, regional malls have been the hardest hit over the last 10 years. They've just done poorly. It's like the whole model has fallen out of favor.
Yeah.
COVID hurt it even more, interest rate hikes even more.
All the kids that used to hang out there and smoke are now grown up and quit smoking. Yeah.
Yeah. So now
we're vaping now.
So now you've got this one property right across the street from our office that's basically vacant. And they're going to redevelop it into something else. And it'll probably end up being, well, I think, self-storage. They're going to do some different things with it.
Planet Fitness in there now?
Yeah, which, if not for Planet Fitness, there would have been even more negative absorption. So when you start to put that into context, I'm like, man, retail's really strong. Not only that, what used to be the case before COVID is people would spend most of their dollars within 20 minutes of where they worked. Now, that's shifted to 20 miles from home. People spend more time at home. They order more DoorDash than they used to. Like there's been some shifts in behavior because of COVID, and that has been a really good thing for retail. So the strip centers that we have performed very, very well and continue to do better, even though you look around and you see negative headlines and stuff like that. If you don't own regional malls, but you own some retail, you're probably doing really well.
Yeah.
And that's true in Owensboro.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
Like, I don't sound like Bob Knakal. Not even close. All right. I'm not going back to how retail in Owensboro has done over the last 4 downturns going back to 1988.
Right.
But I'm giving context. I'm giving data. And hopefully that demonstrates our expertise here and actually gives good information to whoever I'm talking about.
Right. One thing I noticed about Bob is it's almost like he's a straight up historian.
I mean, you can tell he spends time with the data. He interprets the data. He memorizes the data.
It's a second language to him now.
It is. Yeah. And when he's asked the question, like, he just rolled with it, number after number after number, putting it in context and stuff. And the key for a CRE professional is you can absolutely do that with your market. You can start to understand it at that level. And I would just say, start small and start to learn it. Start to commit these numbers to memory. Start to talk to people with more experience in your market to add context. And then start answering the question with data instead of adjectives. And if you can do that, you can demonstrate your expertise. You'll absolutely win more business. And you can have a long career in commercial real estate.
I think I got a tip too.
You got a tip?
I got a tip.
Well, let's hear it.
Yeah. Okay. There's all this data that I got to start to memorize, right? A lot of people, when it comes to like memorizing something, it's like, oh my God, I got to memorize. Well, guess who is really good at memorizing stuff?
Actors.
Yeah. And even a lot of actors aren't really good at it. They got to put a lot of work into it. But here is something that I think could help anybody that's in that position. Instead of thinking, oh, there's all this data I got to memorize, what I could hear with Bob is his understanding of the story, right? Because history is a story. When you understand the story and what is happening, then the data points and those numbers stick a lot easier. So when I sit down to go do a script, I do not try to memorize it. I read the script a few times from a bird's eye view, right? I'm not just thinking about my part. I'm thinking about the story. Then I will break down the script and kind of put it in my own words. Again, I've not done any memorization so far. And by the time I'm done doing all that, the memorization comes like that.
Well, it feels like you've built the framework, and now once you're laying the bricks, you understand where everything fits.
Yeah, it's not words I'm trying to memorize anymore. And I think that can help with this because it can be like, oh man, I got to memorize all these data points. Well, yeah, but it's not that hard. Again, it's not about that data point so much. In the end, it's about the story and what has happened to put it in the context. And those data points and those specific numbers now stick and make sense. And it don't start with trying to memorize the numbers. Go with the story. That's just a tip. And everybody works a little differently there. But
look, that lands for me. Because what you want to be able to do is provide the context of the market that you're in so that when you're communicating the data points, it lands for them. They're like, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
All right.
You know, Bob was talking about if we sell a certain amount in 2023, number of buildings, it'll be 1.89% turnover. So you look at all the buildings, how many of them sold this year? 1.89%, which is lower than the high of 2 point whatever, but it's still way higher than the lowest we've ever had. And then he named the year and he
1992,
said,
right?
Like 1.2% there. So like, you know, we're down from the peak certainly, but it's been way worse as far as transactional velocities. And he's just giving context the whole time, so you feel like you understand where it fits. So now in an era where post-COVID, more of our dollars are spent closer to home than closer to where we work, it has created more demand and more disposable income is being spent at these neighborhood convenience centers, these little strip centers. And because of that, there's more demand to be in those spaces. Because there's more demand, it's driven rents up. And so if you own properties like that, like we just lost a tenant, we had a bad operator, and we lost a tenant in one of these, and it's an end cap and a drive-through, and I'm kind of excited about it because we're going to put that back on the market, and I think we're going to be able to get a great tenant pretty quickly because there's demand out there, and I expect to get more rent than I had before with the previous tenant.
Right.
And in the long term, we're going to be better off. All that because there's a shift in how we're spending our money, and more specifically where we're spending our money. And it's driven up, 4.1% rent growth year over year in Owensboro, Kentucky for retail space.
Yeah.
And so like you put all that in context, now you can start to make some decisions.
Right.
If you're an investor, you might really want to take a look at retail. This is just an example of how to take an opportunity that you know you're going to have, knock it out of the park with data instead of adjectives.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's great.
All right.
Yeah.
So you want to do pop quiz?
Yeah.
All right.
I almost forgot.
Me too. But I'm going to have to use
quiz.
the restroom first. So.
Okay, cool.
All right. So do you want to do shout outs or the pop quiz first?
Let's do the shout outs real quick before we go into the pop quiz.
All right. Great.
Yeah.
What do we got?
I'm glad you got your hat backwards. I should have thought of that because.
Oh yeah. Well,
yeah, we got a shout out on the
It was
fast.
product placement at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Franklin's doesn't sponsor our show, but
Hey,
they
we
should.
appreciate Yeah.
But I appreciate the experience that they
appreciate a good
provided,
product.
and so I was gonna.
All right, let's do a couple shout outs. If you leave a review on Apple Podcasts, we will shout you out immediately. And then we pick a few comments from some of the past episodes and shout out those. We really appreciate it. We read them. We want to give you things that you're asking for. So at any moment, if you got a question, leave it for us. Also on Spotify, you can leave a voicemail and we would love to play it on the air and answer whatever questions you got or whatever comments that you have. You can do that through Spotify. Just letting you know that is a feature and I think it's really cool. Big shout out to Bad Paint Job 1115. That left a review called My Second Favorite Podcast. Bo has expertise in so many facets of business, making the podcast informative, while Timmy makes the show fun and can hold your attention by finding humor through even the most technical jargon. Thank you very much. You two complement each other so well. Love you guys. Gunner.
Nice.
Gunner. Thank you, Gunner,
I wonder
so much.
what his favorite podcast is.
I know.
We'll have
I'm
to ask
very
him.
curious. Our last episode, which was great, we had Gene Trowbridge on.
Oh, yeah.
Great episode. You can watch that right here. From Richard Gonzalez, Gene and Bo are the best. And from Bailey Bird, G&O, man, I love this show. Thank you so much.
Hey, we also got a call from my buddy Scott Overby, who's been on the show.
Yeah.
He and I had a conversation about syndication because he's thinking about doing some of that.
Yeah, okay.
And frankly, I was a little bit surprised that he hadn't already. And so we were talking about it a little bit. And then when he listened to the episode with Gene on Monday, he sent me a text. He's like, timely episode, you know.
Oh,
So
nice. It kind of might have pushed him over the edge to do it.
Maybe. We'll see.
That's great. Well, a little shout out to Scott Overby.
Yeah.
Urban Grout said, Bo, you said growth possibilities.
Possibilities.
In the Future of CRE episode.
Thank you, Chad, for that.
I noticed that when it was going through. Sadel Leonardo Ecamero. Great episode, guys. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. By the way, the guys on Yellow Jackets with Tripods are topographers. Keep up with the good content. God bless. And I also wanted to shout out Richard Gonzalez one more time, 6022. He got eminent domain before you did.
Oh, yeah.
Though cannot think of eminent domain.
Yeah, sometimes you just go blank on something you've known. But yeah, that's what happened.
It happens
to me.
all the time. Mm-hmm. You got it towards the end there, but Richard Gonzalez got it before you did. So congratulations. We're sending you a hug through the internet. And I think those are the shout outs that we got for now. So leave a comment. You could be shouted out if you leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps us out a great deal. We're doing our best to send you great information, and that it just means the world to us. Yeah. Pop quiz time.
Pop quiz.
Pop quiz, baby.
Question 1.
Yeah.
Easy. 2-parter.
Okay.
All right. What is the most asked question to a commercial real estate professional?
How's-
And part 2, what's the wrong way to answer it?
The most asked question of a commercial real estate professional is, how's the market?
True. Very true.
And one of the most common, but or not most common, maybe it is one of the most common ways to answer it, but is the wrong way to answer it, is with an adjective.
That's right.
Right? Hot, cold, not so good.
Mm-hmm.
Great. That's
awesome.
Right. Yeah, you got to use it as an opportunity.
Yeah, it's totally an opportunity to demonstrate your expertise.
That's right.
Question 2, what is the right way to answer that question?
You take it as an opportunity to tell the story, put it into context, and demonstrate your expertise.
Using
data. Use data.
Awesome. All right. 2 for 2. All right. Question number 3. Let me pull something a little bit more obscure and less obvious. So we listened to the clip of Bob Knakal demonstrating his expertise when he was asked that question. He mentioned there were a certain number of buildings south of 96th Street in Manhattan. Mm-hmm. Do you remember how many?
Oh, man. Was it like 90,000?
No, something like over 260,000. I don't remember the exact number either, but it was...
It's a lot.
I remember when he said it, you went, whoa!
Yeah.
You know, it was one of those super specific contextual data points, like, here's the size.
And my reaction was not just at the number. It was his readiness to... It just fell out of his mouth.
All right. Question 4. In Owensboro, I shared how much square footage there is of retail in Owensboro. Do you remember that number?
It was bigger than I thought. Like 90,000?
No, total square footage
Yeah.
of
900,000?
Okay, hold on.
I'm not going to know it.
It's 8,460,000 square feet.
See? Oh, wow. When it comes to square feet, I just don't have a foundation in my head to put that in context. And when numbers are just thrown out, especially when I can't see them, or know the context or story behind them on what to compare it to.
That's a well-articulated excuse for not knowing. That's well done. You know what I find, though, that you didn't do this episode that I almost always see you do is most of the time when somebody throws a question at you like that, like you've written that number down.
Oh, right.
It's almost like you can anticipate, ooh, that sounds like a number that Bo's going to ask me later, and
right.
you write it down, and you didn't.
No, I knew we were talking about data points, but the specific data points that we were hearing or going through, it did not occur to me that those would come up, right?
Well, here's the last one.
Okay.
Question 5. You're two out of 4.
Mm-hmm.
So you need this one. And I said this one a number of different times. The percentage of rent growth for retail year over year is
4.2%? 4.3?
Say 4.1.
4.1.
4.1%.
Sounds 0.1 off.
That's grenade close. That's good enough.
Okay, great.
All right.
Grenade
nicely
close.
done.
Yeah, baby.
Passing grade.
Yeah, that was a tough one, throwing out those numbers there. Mm-hmm. But that's right. I didn't write any of those numbers down. Instead, I wrote Bob Knakal. Get Bob Knakal.
On the show is what you mean.
On the show. Oh, I do want to ask you something, too. Whether this goes in the episode or not, I think it's something that is happening right now. I saw a video of a commercial real estate professional being asked this on the news. That's as specific as I can get right now. But the number that did pop out to me was he said I might be grenade close on this, $1.2 trillion of balloon payments are what's coming due by 2025.
Oh, yeah.
And
next 18 months.
We've talked about this before. We've talked about this several times. But now the news is starting to talk about it more, not just like what we have found under the rocks. With $1.2 trillion of balloon payments coming due by 2025 in commercial real estate, I just want to know in a minute or less your reaction to that.
So I have a few words that pop in my mind. First word is opportunity. There's an opportunity for investors to find great deals because this will force some properties to be sold that wouldn't be sold otherwise. We're working on one in Owensboro right now. It's actually a deal that Dad did about 10 years ago. He put a lease in place. The owner of the property's out of California, and they're going to have to sell. So Todd's been working with them to put the property on the market for sale and for lease. And depending on what the lender does, it'll force him to do one thing or the other. So we're starting to see this play out even in Owensboro.
Okay.
There's going to be opportunities. It's going to force transactions. So there will be deals to be had. So if you're a commercial real estate broker, you should be identifying what deals in the market have balloon payments coming and start working to try to serve those owners. There's transactions that'll be had there. Mm-hmm. So opportunities. If you're a buyer or an investor, the other word that came to my mind is bloodbath.
Bloodbath.
Like it could get really ugly in some markets. Like in Owensboro, we might have a few deals like this that'll happen over between now and the end of 2025.
Sure.
Okay. If they all go bad, we might be talking about 3 or 4 properties. Not that big a deal.
Yeah.
Right. But consider a market like, say, San Francisco, where everything seems to be going wrong right now. Then add this.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Oof.
Yikes.
Right.
Lots of properties that are backed by CMBS financing with balloon payments coming due. Refinance opportunities won't be available unless they put money into the deal, like a cash-in refinance. Some of these lenders are not going to want to lend in certain markets because the markets just look bad anyway, and it's going to cause a bloodbath.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of syndicators. There's going to be a lot of investors, a lot of brokers that are going to be chasing all those opportunities.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a really, really interesting next 18 months because of that $1.2 trillion of balloon payments that are going to be coming due.
Yeah.
And you're going to see some lenders, instead of turning it over to special servicing or receivership or foreclosure or whatever the case, some of them will start extending those terms.
Yeah, right.
To try to lessen, because it's bad for the lender too. Like it's better for the lender if the property owner can ride it out and come out the other side, because at the end of every downturn is a
upturn.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So
cool.
I think that's way more than a minute, but that's
fine.
At a high level, I think.
Yeah.
What we're going to see.
That's cool. So if we're talking to our audience, which is mostly like commercial real estate professionals or investors, the opportunity is what comes to mind.
Oh yeah.
But if you're somebody who's got one of those properties and those balloon payments coming up, you said bloodbath, but at the same time, a lot of banks don't want to own the property that you have. So just here's the keys. I'm out of here.
If you're an owner of one of these properties,
yeah,
you should make your lender your friend. Over communicate with them. Mm-hmm. Right. If you stop talking to them, that's what really forces their hand.
Yeah.
Oh. And if you continue to communicate, well, here's what we're trying to do, make them part of the team.
Yeah.
It's like, hey man, let's figure out how we can get through this. Right. This is what we're facing. This is where we are. Wish we weren't, but this is the truth of where we are right now. Let's figure out how we can get through this. And then engage professionals who can answer how's the market correctly. Those kind of experts, engage those in the market that you're in, help them provide context and expertise and information so that you can make wise decisions. And, you know, some people will be able to figure out a way to make it through, even though they've got this onerous balloon payment that's just like a train coming down the tracks at them.
Right.
You know?
Over communicate.
Yep.
Over communicate. That's your best chance of getting
best chance for sure.
Right. Right. Because on the other side, those lenders, they don't like it either, right?
They don't want it.
They don't want it. Yeah.
They want you to, I mean, it's better for them if you can figure it out.
Right.
And if they can potentially help you do that, some of these lenders will have the flexibility to be able to do that. And if they trust you and like you, maybe there's a chance.
Yeah.
And some of them probably won't have the flexibility. And they'll be like, look, I'm sorry. And if they don't like you or you stop communicating with them, like you got no chance.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That makes no sense.
Right. Cool. Those are great words. I think that's great. Cool. All right. Love you, brother.
Love you, man.
Bye, Alice.
Bye.
Bye. Bo.
Oh, yeah. We have our new newsletter.
A new free weekly newsletter.
Free weekly newsletter. It promotes a recent episode and also provides great business-related content. 5 to 7 articles a week. And you can sign up for that newsletter at subscribe.wgbarron.com. Subscribe.wgbarron.com.
Of course, you can find all that information in the show notes or in below. Love you, brother.
Love you, man.